Welcome to Game Guys, this is your host Bricks, and today we're going to be going over our first impressions for the survival crafting game, Valheim. Before we get started, make sure you consider hitting that like, subscribe, and notification bell so that you get the newest and most up-to-date content from us. We've also recently created a Patreon so that you can help us create more content and better content by getting better audio and editing equipment. Thank you for your ongoing support of our channel. And you can find us at patreon.com/gameguys, where you can give a one-time or monthly subscription. Now, without further ado, let's jump into our first impressions of Valheim. So there's a lot to talk about in this first impressions video, but we're going to try to keep it brief. So we may leave a couple things out, and we'll try to leave out as many spoilers as possible. But first off, what kind of game is Valheim? Valheim is an early access, Viking era, fantasy open world, survival, and crafting game. And while early access, this game has a lot of content. As of the making of this video, I have 50 hours in the game, and I have not done everything there is to do. Valheim boasts a vast open world map, where different landmasses consist of a mix of different biomes, player-based fog of war, and a random seed every time you create a new game. This really helps replayability as it makes the game different each time you start over. But what about the graphics? Graphics quality and realism means a lot to some and very little to others, but this game falls into a pleasantly fun mix of World of Warcraft and Minecraft graphics. The survival aspect of this game is also a little different from others. Valheim definitely takes a unique approach on feeding yourself with food and water, namely because there is no water. Instead, you have 3 different food slots where you can eat 3 different types of food to give yourself different status boosts to your health and stamina that last until that food has expired. When the buff effects do expire, you go down to your normal base HP, which is quite low and can leave you in danger when getting attacked. To me, this is a unique and brilliant way to approach food, so that it doesn't take up so much of your time that you can't actually play the game and enjoy it. Yet it does entice you to find higher level recipes to give you different status effects. Next up we have server size and PvP. Currently the servers are only 10 players maximum, but based on the size of the map, this is bound to change eventually. And the choice of whether or not to engage in PvP is completely up to you. Each player actually has the ability when they go into their inventory to choose whether or not they want to take damage from other players. Another quick note regarding the servers is if you leave one server and you go to another server, your character remains. Anything that your character has equipped or has in their inventory will go to that new server with you and then back so long as you don't lose it or change those items. And now that we've talked a little bit about PvP, what about the combat in the game? I find that the combat in Valheim is very rewarding in that it's physics based, is very smooth and responsive, and your effectiveness is more based on your actual skill and the gear you're wearing than it is on some rudimentary level up system where you have to become a certain level to be able to fight others in the game or other creatures. Now, I personally really enjoy combat in a game, but sometimes I just want to sit back, relax, and enjoy the beauty of the game and how the crafting and base building works. And I must say that while the base building and crafting does come with a learning curve in this game, it is extremely rewarding and executed very well. The base building in Valheim lets your imagination run free. When you start off, you only have a few basic building items, and you require more throughout your gameplay. However, even with these few items, you could really build some structures that are worthy of an MTV Cribs video. Also, the structures in Valheim take visual damage from enemies and from weather. Not only that, when building, there's an aspect of structural integrity that you have to follow as well. Be careful when making your first base, because the game goes as far in realism as to if you're cooking something inside of your base or anything that's creating smoke, you're going to need some ventilation somewhere in that base. I may or may not have found out about that the hard way. So we talked about how vast the map is, so how do you get around? Unfortunately, there are no mounts right now, but I think they would actually make the map seem a lot smaller. However, there are currently 3 types of ships that you can build. I'm not going to spoil those, I will just say that the first one's a raft and it's kind of stupid slow, as it should be. However, the sailing in this game is out of this world awesome. Partially because you'll find some big old creatures that want to bite your boat in half. But the actual mechanic is done really well in itself. During thunderstorms, the seas go crazy and you have to watch out for rocks underneath the water or heavy turbulent waves. You definitely have to keep an eye on the wind direction in your mast. But overall, the sailing is very satisfying in this game. And the last topic I wanted to go into for this video was the progression of the game and the replayability. First off, in my own experience, the game has been very stable. However, I have had a friend who's had some desync issues that's caused him some trouble. But do remember, the game is still early access, and that's most probably why there are only 10 people allowed per server at this time. Progression-wise, for those of you who like bosses instead of just the regular fighting the environment, they're here. To me, it seems like the bosses get exponentially harder. I was able to take out the first boss by myself almost. Second boss, I really had trouble with another guy. And the third and subsequent bosses, well, you'll find out. This game also really encourages players to explore different areas and different items to effectively progress in the game. More than a couple times in this game, I've picked up a random object in a crypt or a cave or something of the like, and just by picking that item up, I unlocked a lot of new different crafting abilities, which had huge impacts on my ability to progress in the game. In my opinion, this progression style is perfect for a survival game. It's not so hardcore that you can't get started and still experience a good bit of the game by yourself, but then after a while it does require you, if you want to get past a certain point, to need to work with others. And while you could probably solo the entire game by yourself, it would be a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable to have that camaraderie, in my opinion. So remember, this game is early access and is bound to have bugs, but for a price point of $20, I would highly recommend the buy. So that about wraps up our Valheim First Impressions video, and I'd really like to hear in the comments from others of you who've played the game what you think about it in its current state. Thanks for watching, consider that like, subscribe, and notification if you want to support our channel, and as always, until next time, we'll see you in-game.